Okay, so the Queen of England died a few weeks ago and the whole world went into mourning. Pretty sad, I know. But over here in the UK, we actually got a bank holiday on today. Now, I'm going to, of course, withhold how I feel about the monarchy in the UK, because that's on the purpose of this video. But a few things stuck out to me over the course of this time, and obviously the first being that Prince Charles is going to get elevated to King of England, I guess. Secondly, his inheritance of, I think it's something above £400 million. He wasn't going to pay any tax on it. He wasn't going to pay any inheritance tax. Now, the reason why I felt like it was important to highlight this is because anything we hand over to our children, us regular people, our children have to pay a 40% inheritance tax of any assets worth more than £325,000. Now, keep in mind that Prince Charles, or King Charles as they call him now, he has inherited things over the value of 400 million, and he's paid zero tax. Apparently there was a rule that the government made to ensure that wealth stays within the royal family. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that is where we are. Anyway, I say all this to say that we need to ensure that anything we pass on to our children, we maximise any protection we can get and give them to ensure that they don't pay 40% tax on what we're handing down to them. Obviously, the plan is, God willing, that we're all in a position to hand over our assets worth more than £325,000 to our children. That's why we build generational wealth. That's why we do this. This is for the next generation, from my point of view anyway. And as the monarchy has made quite obvious, the rich will continue to take from the poor, or the working class, or the middle class even, to ensure that the rich stay rich. Anyway, the main purpose of this episode is just to cover some tips that I've come across over the years and doing my research into how we can protect our assets, how we can protect our finances, and how we can ensure that when we're handing things down to our children, we're able to minimise how much we're losing to the government, because the government isn't our friend. The government isn't here to protect us, and the government isn't here to protect our children. I mean, they refused to feed them. They said no more free school meals, which was bonkers in the first place. Hold on, before I forget, I'm having my first Figuring Out Fatherhood event, and this is actually on Thursday, the 29th of September. Yes, it's in 2 days' time. Now, I apologise, I should have advertised this earlier on. It didn't cross my mind to actually plug it here as well. But yes, I have the first event. It's called Understanding Mediation. So the plan with these events is to create a safe space for men to come and talk, chop it up, learn something new, gain some knowledge, share some resources, and just things that will equip us to be better men, to better fathers. That is the whole purpose of this. So this one's Understanding Mediation. It's going to be a networking event of sorts. Then I'm going to have a trained mediator come down to have a conversation with us, tell us about what it is, tell us about things we need to do. So, and the main purpose I want to start with this was because I'm getting kind of bored of hearing that mothers won't let fathers have access to the children, mothers are doing this, mothers are doing that, and I keep saying, go for mediation, go for mediation, go for mediation, go for mediation. And the men are always like, oh yeah, court this, court that. And for starters, if you want to take your child's mother to court for any reason, or if you want to take your child's father to court for any reason, you are going to have to go to mediation first. So anyway, I say all this to say, come to the event. This is for men and men only. Sorry, ladies. Buy a ticket for your husbands, your children, your brothers, your uncles, your dads. It's for men and men only. And tickets are priced around, I think, about £12 or something. I want this to be actually a free event. The reason I'm charging for it is just to make sure I'm able to cover the costs of the actual venue hire itself. But if you would like to come and you can't afford to buy a ticket, just drop me a message, drop me an email, and I'll be sure to cook something up for you and make sure you can attend. But yes, back to the episode. The first tip is to make sure you write a will. Right now, write a will. Advise you to do this. Make sure you get a will done. Before the end of this week, get a will done. It doesn't take much to do, and I'm sure you can go on Google right now and look up solicitors online who can help you put together a will. But make sure you have a will in place. It's not too early. and it's not too late. You can always write a will at any point in time. And if you need to update your will, you can also update the will. Like, it's actually fine. Just make sure you have a will in place. A lot of us have an immortality complex, and you sort of think, oh, can't be me, not anytime soon. Oh, I'm going to live to my old age. I'm going to live till I'm old and grey. And that may not necessarily be the case. I hate to talk about it. I hate to think about it. I hate to even bring it up. But write a will. Or think of your child as well. Like, do you really want your child squabbling with different family members who have come out with work to come and claim your assets? No. We don't want that to happen to our children. We want to just, as sad as it sounds, we want to just focus on mourning and just getting over the fact that they've lost their parents, as opposed to they're now beefing family members for money, assets. No. Write a will. Do it today. Do it this week. Do it pretty soon. Second tip, sign up for a death and service benefit. Most workplaces do this thing where they will pay you a lump sum, well, not you, they will pay a lump sum to your family or to whoever you designate as beneficiary after you pass away, especially while you're working for them. This is actually a benefit, so it's at no cost to you. It's just something you sign up for at work. So today or tomorrow or your next working day, look it up if you're entitled to start work. If you do, sign up for it. As well as that, death in service payments are tax-free. So it's free money. Obviously, it's at a cost of you dying, but this is free money to your kids or whoever you decide to be your beneficiaries, and they don't have to pay tax on it. So make sure you sign up. And it's usually some multiple of your salary, and I think it's 4 times salary. Think of how much that would be. It's a nice little lump sum. I mean, it's not ideal to think about. Like I said, even the name of it, death in service, like, ugh. But it's what I'm not for. On the topic of beneficiaries, this brings me nicely to the next tip, and this is your pension. Setting up your pension beneficiaries. This is another thing, do ASAP. Tomorrow, this week, at some point, very quickly, make sure you do it. So what happens is, obviously, the plan is, or the way a pension works is you work up until retirement age, which I believe is 65, going up to 68. And obviously, God forbid, if you die before you reach 65 or you die before you spend your pension, do you want it to go to somebody, preferably your family or your children even? So the pension you've accrued over the years, it gets divvied up. So all you need to do, like I said, it's not hard work. Go to your pension provider and make sure you nominate beneficiaries. It's a nice little lump sum. Again, you worked hard. This is contributing towards life in retirement. So over the years, you're going to accrue quite a lot of money. If you have no beneficiaries nominated with your pension provider, they get to decide where your money goes. Do you really want to leave that power with them? It's money you've worked for your whole life. And they want to leave up to your pension provider to decide who it gets spent on and who it goes to. Sign up, nominate your beneficiaries today. Do it right now, if you can, or tomorrow. The fourth tip is life insurance. You know what, by this point, if you are a parent, I hope you've already signed up to life insurance. Like, it goes without saying. Please, make sure you sign up to life insurance. I hope you have already, but if you haven't, do it today. It's relatively cheap. The older you get and the more, depending on your health conditions, it gets more and more expensive. The older you get, because obviously, as you get older, you're getting closer to that point. So if you can get it done today, you're not going to be this young ever again. So if you can get it done today, make sure you sign up. Life insurance, nice little lump sum. Again, with that as well, nominate your beneficiaries, make sure it's split up, and your child or whoever you want as a beneficiary is labeled. But again, we're doing it for the kids. So for me, it's my daughter. I believe if you have a property, it's mandatory to have life insurance anyway. So you may or may not have it already, especially if you bought a house. But if you haven't, please make sure you sign up for it. And just for context, like, funerals are not cheap. They're not cheap at all. I don't know if anyone here has ever funded one, or anyway, funerals are not cheap. Buying a headstone is not cheap. Buying a coffin is not cheap. Entertaining guests is not cheap. Like, these things cost money, and you don't want your child or children, after you pass away, they are scrambling around trying to find funds to pay for your funeral. Like, think about what you're doing. Like, even in death, you're making them waste time, money on these things. So set them up for success, not for failure. Like, please, life insurance, make sure you sign up. And the final tip, this is a big one actually, so make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you look this up once this video is finished. Set up a trust. Not a trust fund, set up a trust. Any assets you have that you place into a trust will not be part of your estate and estate, this is what is good in your will and what's divvied up to different people, whoever you nominate in your will. But in a trust, it's managed by a trustee or a trust company. You can manage yourself as well, to be fair. But a trust is managed, and what ends up happening is that when you die or whatever, and once again, you get to nominate who the beneficiaries are, but you can also give it to a company to manage it for you. And the way I see it working, the way I'm going to set this up for myself, my children, is in this trust is going to go to a management company who, for a fee, of course, they will make sure that my children get money consistently. So imagine you have like 2 or 3 homes which generate rental income, as opposed to just giving the homes to your children. We'll go to the company who will keep managing it and make sure that the rent money goes to your kids on a regular basis. It belongs to the trust, and it keeps the money in-house, it keeps money within the family, and you can set it up such that when there's new family members born or whatever, they're also part of they can also stick a claim to the funds generated by this trust. And one of the reasons why I like this so much is because imagine you hand over, you give your child your house, you work so hard, you give it to them, and then they get married and they get into a divorce, and then their ex-spouse or whatever is now laying claim to a house that you worked hard to give to them. It becomes part of their wealth. So of course, you know what, the spouse does have a claim to it, and you don't want that. Or if you're, God forbid, your child goes bankrupt, something you worked so hard for, and it gets claimed back. It gets claimed by the bank. No. We're here trying to protect our wealth. So set up a trust, place your assets within that trust. You can nominate yourself as a trustee, but personally, I'm going to get a company to manage it for me to make sure that wealth keeps flowing. And generally speaking, trustees have an obligation or a right, should I say, to look after the beneficiaries' best interests. They're always going to get income from me, even after I've passed away. So I don't need to explain the benefits of this to them. That, for me, that's enough. That was enough motivation to look into it. So yeah, look into setting up a trust, not a trust fund, a trust. Obviously, this is a very quick summary of what a trust was, but I've had a link below that gives more detail about what a trust is and how to set one up. Anyway, that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I hope you learned something new next time. But make sure you share this episode with a friend, family member, someone you feel like will benefit from this. Make sure you buy a ticket to my event. If you're a man, buy a ticket for someone else. If you're a woman, buy a ticket for a man in your life or a man you know, just to trying to create a community here. And I believe you guys, I'll always leave you, and that's to make it your mission, to make a decision the future will be grateful for. The future will be grateful, planning for life after your death. So until next time, guys.